sunset. It's hard to tell. That's the one thing I find with water, it's hard to tell if it's ever working the right way for you. But let's just go with that for the minute. And then we're going to get that on all three for the minute. Just see if we got that. It seems to be flowing the right way. But we'll get all the other layers doing the same thing, and we'll find out then. It gets a lot clearer after that. So layer 1's done, and then we wanted, let's see, we're just going to copy what's in those to start with. 0.3942 and 0. Scroll rate 0.048, 0.048, and scroll angle just occurred to me I've copied the wrong level. I think I have. Okay, that was very stupid. Alright, we're going to have to do this again. It happens to the best of us. You can kind of see where it's flowing though, which is good. Right, I think I've got it. 256.14, so I was off before. Scroll rate we'll worry about in a minute, but we have got this about right now. For the bottom level we'll stick this stick that one on. And we're just going to go with that again then. So we're going to go with 1, 0, which I'm probably going to end up changing. Okay. If I put that to a neutral level for each one. There's 0, just type in myself like that. Okay, and then we increase the scroll rate. That is not working entirely, is it? That's it. Yeah, we do need it on 1. Okay, that just shows how my maths skills just are not with it. And that's already on 1 anyway, good. Right, and now we just get the scroll speed up, which can be quite hard to judge. You got a sort of a wave, almost a wave-like texture on it now, which is brilliant. That's exactly what I wanted. I'm quite surprised by that actually. And there is actually a visual placeable effect of a wave as well, which is quite good if it's used well. So we've got them coming in now, and we use this. Not a bad speed either actually, because there's this little cove part. I don't particularly want it to be too rough, to be honest. We'll give it a little bit more though, I think, just a tiny amount more. 0.577. So if we can copy that, 0.577, and again on the upper layer, 0.577. Oh dear, what is that? What's going on here? That looks a bit, it's looking a bit nasty now. It was fine till I did that. Right, let me see and work out what I've done wrong here by... No, that hasn't helped. Okay, let's turn it down. Right down. Okay, I probably shouldn't have turned it that high. It's going to need a bit more work, I think. But anyway, yeah, we've had a tinker around. Oh, wait a minute. Is that what I found? That's the problem. Okay, we no longer have turbo water going on, right. Alright, that's something. Okay, I think we can have a little play with the smoothness amount now. We had it as quite a rough water before. I don't think that was being very helpful to us. I think we'll go more there. Okay, so we've got the water flowing towards the shoreline, which is what we wanted. And in terms of the smoothness and ripples and that, I think we may have a bit of work to do there. But yeah, we have something there now, which is better than what we had before. So if you now wanted to make that take effect everywhere else, as you can see the rest of the water is just doing the default original thing. All this water's been edited. All we need to do is select this terrain and now go to paint terrain, and it will copy these settings to all the mega tiles that we paint across now. So if I see the brush is big enough, it's just gone next door already, and I put it into there, into there. But what we may do with certain other tiles, like here, we may actually have it flow towards the cliff. We'll change the flow direction, which is fine, because now we've got the base settings that we wanted in place for this water. It can easily just have the scroll direction changed where we need it changed. So if I want the outer tiles, I want it flowing towards the land, and we can do that quite easily. There's a little bit of an art to it in terms of making sure that, say I want this tile to flow that way, but I want this tile to flow that way, and obviously you need to just be careful with the scrolls so that, you know, all of a sudden the water's not flowing at right angles to each other and stuff, so you need to be quite gentle with how you do it, but you can get some very nice effects. So it's copying all this over to what we've got over here. And clearly in here we're going to need to do a bit of work as well, because we've got water sort of flowing like that. But we could break it up maybe with rocks or things like that. But you know, we're not going to be able to get every single square foot of water flowing absolutely perfectly, so that, you know, you have to make a few sacrifices along the way. There we go. So we've got water in and it's flowing. In fact, it's very clearly flowing now when you look at it, which is fantastic. I mean, that's very nice, that is. So we've got that, and we'll probably end up doing some fine-tuning later on. Now, we place down that texture as you remember, the cliff texture right below. But what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to use a bit of colour to break that up for us a bit. And also what we'll probably do later when we do the beach itself is we'll use a different texture for the beach. I want some sort of stony, pebbly like textures. I think I've got one in mind for that. And what we will do is we will actually use that in the shallower parts of this area to actually spread onto the floor. But the initial look and the colour tints we can absolutely do ourselves right now. So what we're going to do then is, if you ever want to see the seafloor itself, click on water and it's gone. Not gone forever, mind you, it's just toggled so it's not visible. Hit it again and the water's back. Happy days. Okay, so we're going to move next to getting a... actually, we'll do a bit more water editing just so those interested in water can just see a bit more of that in action. So, it's late, I need my coffee to remain awake here. So, good example would be, let's find a tile. First you've got to look at your tiles and see what you've got. So this one, we could certainly have the water flowing maybe a little bit more towards this hut and not sort of directly past it perhaps, if you really wanted to do that. I mean, I'm not too fussed, but this is just an example. We could change the scroll angle. That's all you need to do. So water layer, scroll angle, and we're just going to see what other directions we get. So that's going to flow in a more, better get a top-down view here. That's heading more that way. So we want to see if we yeah, that's flowing more in towards the shore now. That's changed the direction slightly. 205, 956. Oh, 956. Okay, and that's flowing a little too off the angle. And this is what I mean here when I was talking about it all earlier, is you can see the tiles there. You've got that tile where it's flowing straight, and then you've got this one where it's just going off at a right angle to it, which is no good. So what we're going to do is we're going to adjust again. We'll actually compare them, I think. So that's 256.14 and that's 205. Well, let's go with just 240 on each one. So this is where you can just kind of use your own judgment now. Or 239 it wants to go, it's fine, whatever. 240. And here we'll go with 240. Oh, not that much. 240. And that's better. So you can see now, there isn't too much. You can't, what you want is you'll be able to set the angle so that when the player's walking along, on the shore here, it doesn't suddenly just come into their head, oh, that water looks funny, they shouldn't be able to tell, oh, that's a water tile and that's another water tile. They shouldn't be able to notice that. So that's better. That's better. We've got the water flowing straight there, and then here it's kind of coming in diagonally. So that's perfect. And then we can do the same here now. So the ones immediately, I think. So that's 256.14 and that's 205. Well, let's go with just 240 on each one. So this is where you can just kind of use your own judgment now. Or 239 it wants to go, it's fine, whatever. 240. And here we'll go with 240. Oh, not that much. 240. And that's better. So you can see now, there isn't too much. You can't, what you want is you'll be able to set the angle so that when the player's walking along, on the shore here, it doesn't suddenly just come into their head, oh, that water looks funny, they shouldn't be able to tell, oh, that's a water tile and that's another water tile. They shouldn't be able to notice that. So that's better. That's better. We've got the water flowing straight there, and then here it's kind of coming in diagonally. So that's perfect. And then we can do the same here now. So the ones immediately close to the cliffs, we're going to start with this tile. This, we're going to do right. that's an experiment there. I was trying to see if I could select multiple mega tiles. I can't do that. It was just an instinctive thing there. I thought I'll try and multi-select the tiles, but no, it's individual tiles, so that's a bummer. Never mind. So what we're going to need here then, I'm not sure in terms of numbers what angle I'm going to want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play with scroll angle here, and I'm guessing it's going to be somewhere down this end I'm going to want it. I'm just going to type 136 in all of them and see what we get. It's probably going to be completely wrong. Yes, it is. It's actually flowing the wrong way. So there you go. That just shows you how much I know. I've made the water flow the wrong way. Okay, let's go with 300. That looks at that actually. I saw something then that kind of looked good. It's either one extreme or the other. It's going to be low number, or obviously anything up to 360, isn't it? 360 degrees. So, I mean, that's actually flowing kind of the right way, and it's not clashing too much with that. So I wonder now if I type in here 320. Yes. I think I've learned something too here today. And yeah, that's fine. Absolutely fine. So done it for that, done it for that one. We'll do that again there. In fact, now that I've got that one right, what I can do is I can paint terrain and I can just copy that. Though actually with this one and the others we'll change the angle. So with that one we'll go for 330, 5 and 335 and 335, and then we'll paint that in there. That's fine. Well, we've got that. We can paint that in as well. There we are. Could do all of those. Right, we've got a bit of a coming together going on here now. So with that one I think we get away with that bit, but just around here I think we need to change the direction slightly. Yeah, I think we've got the idea there now. I think I'm going to select that, and then we'll paint. Yeah, I think far out at sea. We'll keep it at this this one. I'll leave that side alone for now, because we'll move on to the next bit, and that is just getting some of the colour of the seabed put together. So we're not going to do the main texturing yet, we're just going to get some colour on it. So we're going to go with terrain now. I hope the water bit was helpful, with all my faffing around. I think hopefully it might have actually shown some of the settings in action, the fact I was cocking up the angles and things. But it's something you get the hang of. It's just do more of it. I don't tend to use water in huge amounts. I haven't really ever done any sort of environments near the sea like before than this one, so it's allowed me to learn a bit more myself. Okay, so terrain and the colour, and we're going to go over blue, and we'll take quite a sunny area. So I'm going to go with the sort of blue I used in the sort of that shipwreck area that I may have shown not so long ago. I'm just going to go with that colour there, and then we'll put it to quite a low percentage of pressure because we don't want it to suddenly shoot at really dark blue. And we'll turn the water off. And what we're going to do is on the not so, the shallow areas, we just want it to not too strong. In the deeper areas we're going to go quite dark, so they really show up then we get some variation. So I'm just going to smatter this down very gently. It's just like my colour mapping that I did at the start almost, just select your colour and just paint it down. But I tend to find with colour, especially for proper tinting, not colour maps an exception, but if you're doing tinting like this, I generally do not hold down the mouse button for this because it's very sensitive. I mean, for example, if I just hold down and paint it, it can darken very quickly, in comparison to these other areas. So it's best remember that white is essentially an eraser. It just removes it. Obviously on the low pressure it's not taking much out. So we'll go back to the colour that we were using, somewhere around that, and just get that in. So the shallow parts first, just around here. And what this should do is, certainly in the daytime, the sea will have that nice sort of blue look that you get when it's a sunny day, it's blue sky, and you look at the sea and all you see is this deep blue colour, and that's kind of what I'm going for. Just want it to stand out, and obviously I just want the deep patches of water to be really visible as well when you're at the cliff's edges and things. So I'm just going to try and get to a point where I've got a few patches of seabed tinted up, and then we can really see how that looks, and I can also load up the game and we can actually see how good our water really is, because there is quite a difference between what you see in the tool set and what you actually get in game, because like I said, there are reflections and things like that. They don't, they've certainly never shown up for me in the toolset. I've had to just load the game and go by what I see, make notes on how it looks and what I think needs to be changed. Go back, tweak, load up again. And that's the important thing when you're doing exteriors is if you're ever in any doubt or you're not sure how something's going to look or work out, just keep testing, test regularly, test and test again. Until you're happy with what you've got, because that is the best way to make sure something's running right. Never just assume that what you've got down is what you've got. Even some textures as well, I tend to find very different in game. So yeah, always worth just a once over. Right, so we're kind of getting there now. So we're on to this deeper parts now. We're just going to get these little bits here in. For this I am going to sort of hold down the button very briefly while I'm colouring it, and just make sure that we get a darker colour just in here. This is where the floor really starts to drop down and get quite deep. You can see from the outside there. Probably the deepest part, which probably warrants me turning up the pressure and the brush size, and we'll drop that in here for the deepest parts. And the think when we go into fine detail in these particularly deeper parts, they also serve as markers where we're going to have some ships anchored out at sea. As the the little cove beaches can be far too shallow for big ships to be dropping anchor in. So the ships have to stop out at shore, and then they sail in. So we will have some nice big ships out at sea as well. It's another big sort of bay, or bay, a deep sort of part of the water here. So got that marked off there nicely. Another one there, and things like that we can add, chop and change these things as much as we want. Nothing here is final. Nothing ever has to be final. So don't feel that you're restricted at all. You can always go back and make changes. But I figured, a few sort of deep little patches, kind of just marking the extremes of the main sort of ocean itself, where where all the ships and travel can happen. So we just want to, and it's just a nice variation that when you're looking at the water from a distance, we just get some really different sort of tones and colours. But yeah, do let me know if there's any preference to how I do these videos, because like I said, I am conscious that maybe it's a bit of a turn off for people just watching me just do things that I've already explained. If people would rather I just stick to just get to the main points, how to do this, how to do that. But I mean, so if you enjoy watching, then great, I can carry on doing it that way. But like I said, I will try and address something new each time, or maybe return to something that I didn't touch upon in enough detail. But I do have some plans for future videos. So I mean, we can go back to Brandir, who we made. I certainly want to start introducing conversations, things like that, and Brandir does have a conversation that we need set up on him, so that can introduce conversations, and we can introduce all kinds of conversations. And if people want to know how to do sort of cutscene like conversations, absolutely, I can go ahead and do that. I've done plenty of those of varying levels of quality, but cutscenes are one of those things that you can kind of learn to do as you go along. The more of them you make, the better you get at it. But but I've noticed people have very mixed thoughts on cutscenes in games. I mean, I have my opinions on cutscenes too. It's as long as they're helping to tell a story, they're contributing something, I think it's absolutely fine. I think the sort of games with cutscenes that sort of grind my gears, shall we say, it's sort of the frivolous sort of stuff that's it's not contributing, it's not telling me anything of use. It's not useful. It doesn't really serve a purpose. So it's in that sense, if I'm doing cutscenes for campaigns and things like that, the first consideration usually is why why are you doing this, and it's all kinds of purposes you can serve. It might be just some suspense. It just could be like an icebreaker of sorts. So I mean, I often like to break up heavy action in my stories with some small activities that aren't related to the main story. Just other things of interest. Other tales, and it's a nice way of keeping the player in touch with the main thrust of your story. If you're they've got them running off on other errands. And all it might be just for telling the story of your other characters in the game. So like you've got companions, key events going on that you're not a part of. So at least you're kind of in the know in terms. It kind of gets you, just a better sense of what's going on around you. Then it can all help. I mean, obviously, technically is sort of like metagaming, but sometimes metagaming has its use. You know, if it's just keeping the player engaged, but you know, in the right sort of way, it can be done very badly. So that was me prattling about cutscenes. So yeah, we've got a colour there. It doesn't look too bad actually. Now if we engage the water now, and yeah, it will not look like that in game at all. What I'm hoping is it will actually help add to the sort of tone and the colour of the water. And like I said, we want to mix it with another texture as well, and we might even add a further colour to the floor to match the pebbly-like texture as well. But that's what we've got in so far. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to load the game and actually just have a look at this in action. So if you bear with me, I will load up the game and I'll see you there. Hi everyone and welcome back. We're now in game. I'm just going to get full screen on. Looking at the water from this height here, my first impressions are it's flowing a bit too fast, but what is good is you can now see in the water little variations. I hope it shows well on video. Little variations in the water colour and the sort of texture. So these deeper parts we made, this sort of this darker look here, and then you know, these areas here clearly a lot shallower. So that's great. That's a good start. But we're going to move down and take a little closer look at it. You can see up here some of our other in progress bits here, all kinds of things lying around at the minute that need finishing. The wall has only just been started, but yeah, it's all taking shape. I'm starting to visualize you know, colors and pathways now, so you know be able to walk along here and access the houses and things. Got the stairs there, which is not properly meshed out yet, but that'll get us to the inn up there. We might actually be able to walk around that, I wonder. Can we? Is it possible? I'm not sure it will be somehow. No, I don't think we can get it there. Never mind, it's not important, it's not part of what we're doing here. So yeah, the wall idea was we have a low wall running along here. So I was in the process of getting that sort of hammered down, but the wall just seemed quite a nice little piece to have on there. Just a low wall, not to block too high. So it was measured especially for dwarves and hobbits. So obviously knee high on humans and such. But I just thought it was a nice way of denoting the path. So we're going to have stalls and traders around this little part. And then we'll have our there will be a blacksmith here of sort of just general local needs. Really we won't be doing much in the way of weapons and things like that, I don't think, but you never know. And the water's really starting to look even nicer now when you come at this distance here. Maybe we need to add a bit of choppiness to it, maybe further out to sea. Maybe the water isn't flowing too fast. It's I think we'll know when we get nearer to the shoreline and see for ourselves, so we may need to slow it down maybe nearer this area and then just let it move at its normal speed back there. When you're this far away from it, I think we need to, best consideration when you're doing water is just to see how fast it moves when the player's really close to it. And we've got a little house over here. Can I cross my bridge? No, I can't, so that also needs meshing up. But yeah, it was just purely there just for mark it out. I doubt that's a final position at all. And we've reached the edge of the area here, so some of this cliff's going to probably need shaving off. Shouldn't be a problem. Now one bit I do know works, at least when I last checked, was our stairs. We can use our stairs to get down to the bottom now. There we go. So at least that's one thing that's working. So that gets us down the bottom, and then we can have a closer look at the water now and just see what it's how it's behaving. So it's sort of flowing along. We'll deal with some of these funny looking little edges here. Yeah, we might slow it down just a touch, I think, not too much, just a little bit. And then yeah, we will have some docks sticking out along here, which should break up some of the that horrible straight line we've got there. But yeah, it's looking, it's a good start, you know. I think it was worth just showing something new today rather than me just putting a building down and then repeat. I thought it would be quite good. I think it's just nice to have this in. It's something for us to build around now. Okay, we have a reflection of our stairs in the water there. That's actually quite nice. Same with the building there. And obviously we can get the beach built up around that as well, so we'll eventually have some sort of a pebbly beach put in, which will be excellent. I don't know what on earth's going on there. That's very strange. But yeah. So yeah, I mean, that kind of concludes that video. So we've got water in. It's not absolutely perfect, but it is along the lines of what we're looking for now. And we've got some of those nice colour variations in the water there, and there's so much more, you know, could do with that. And you know, we will get rocks and some ships out at sea, that kind of thing. So all that will start to appear. I'll probably continue to do little bits and pieces off camera, but I mean, if anything new or, you know, major sort of little change goes in, I'll get that on video. But I think a mixture of video sessions and some minor off-camera work, I think might be the way I'll approach this. But we'll keep them going, and hopefully there'll be more videos coming thick and fast very soon. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope you found the videos useful. Do leave any feedback or comments, share this with people, and you know, maybe we can get a bit of a viewership going. But you know, as long as a few people are benefiting, that's great. So I'll see you all soon, and thank you for watching.